adjacent and vertical angles. So adjacent angles are two angles that share a common side and a common vertex. Vertical angles are when two angles that cross from one another when two lines cross. Like, that's what it means by crossing two lines. So let's look at the first example. Example 1. Which of the following are adjacent angles? Well, adjacent angles, to go back to the definition, are two angles that share a common side and a common vertex. So let's look at A here. Now, we have angle 1 and we have angle 2. And we notice they actually don't share a common side, right? They have two different sides. They might share a common vertex, but they do not share the same side. Like, one line is not shared between the two because there's a whole other angle in the middle. So this is a no. Now let's look at B. B is also a no. And the reason is because angle 1, as you can see, overlaps with angle 2. So they don't share a common side and they're not like right adjacent to each other. So that one doesn't work. So because the one interior angle is over the other one. Now let's look at C. Now these actually share the same side, right? Like this is a shared side together. But what it's missing is it doesn't share the same vertex, right? So we have a point here and a point here, but it's not the common one. So it does not share a common vertex, so it's a no. And then by all the reasoning above, it must be D, right? D must be adjacent angles. And the reason is because angle 1 and angle 2 are right next to each other. They share this common side and they have a common vertex. So this is adjacent. So D is our answer. Now let's look at example 2. Example 2, find the following unknown angles. So we're looking for angle A, angle B, and angle C. Now, the only thing we know is this 40 degrees. The other thing we do know, though, is a straight line, right, makes up 180 degrees. So angle A plus 40 degrees is equal to 180. Now let's go ahead and then subtract 40 on both sides so we can get to angle A. So this crosses out and we get 180 minus 40, so we get 140 degrees. So that's angle A. So we've done one. Now let's solve for B. Now notice B and A are on one straight line. So then this angle here, right, from this whole straight line, right, would also form 180. So this one means angle A plus angle B is equal to 180 degrees. But what do we know about A? Well, A is equal to 140. So 140 plus angle B is equal to 180. Then to get B by itself, we go ahead and subtract 140 on both sides. And what do we get? Well, we get angle B on the left-hand side by itself. 180 minus 140 is 40 degrees. So let's go back up. So now we know what B is. It's 40 degrees. Now the last unknown is C. So notice something here. C here forms a straight line with angle B, but it also forms another straight line between the 40 degrees right here, right, and the C. So if those also form between the 40 degrees too. So what does that mean? Well, if you look at what C is, right, let's find it. So let's go ahead and use the 40 degrees. So angle C plus 40 degrees is equal to 180 degrees because it forms a straight line. We go ahead and subtract 40 on both sides like we've done before. And what do we get for C? We get 140 degrees. So let's notice something here. Let's go ahead and just erase all of this. So you see that all these different angles are pretty connected because, right, B is also 40 degrees. A and C are 140 degrees. So what do we notice about our vertical angles here, right, that are across from each other when, right, two lines cross? So for this is that we see that they're the same. They have the same value. So angle A, right, angle A is equal to angle C, and angle B, right, equal to the angle that's across from it, which is 40 degrees. So this is something really interesting to know about vertical angles, and you can see how that kind of makes sense is because this, see, like we'll say angle A shares with this 40 degrees, right? It has a line, so that has to equal 180 degrees. So that has to be, but then also angle A also shares another line with, right, with our angle B. So that means angle A has to be the same amount because the angle doesn't change in value, but the angles on the sides then have to be equal in order for those straight lines to be true, to equal 180 degrees. So you can see how this worked out in this way. So let's do another example. Example 3. If the measure of angle 1 is equal to 2v plus 56, and the measure of angle 2 is 7v minus 29, find the measure of angle 1. So what we learned from the previous example is that angle 1 has to be equal to angle 2 based upon that they are vertical angles. So when two lines cross, that means those angles are equal. So let's go over. So if we know, right, go over this. So if we know these are equal, that means then we can plug these values in to here, to these. And then we can go ahead and start to solve and see where we end up. So we get 2v plus 56 is equal to 7v minus 29. Now, the first thing we can do is let's go ahead and start moving v to get to one side. So I like to take the smaller value and move it to the larger value. So 2 is smaller than the 7, so I'd like to go minus 2v on both sides. This gets rid of it on the left-hand side, and we have to do whatever we do to one side to the other. Now we have 7 minus 2, so that's 5, and then we have v. Now we have minus 29 and 56 on this side. So the next step would be to add then 29 to both sides because we want to get v by itself. So we're trying to get rid of all the numbers on the right hand side now. So we go ahead and add 29 to both sides. 6 plus 9 is 15. We go ahead and carry the 1 to the 10, so we have 1 plus 5 plus 2, which is equal to 8. And we have 5v. Then let's go ahead and divide by 5 on both sides. So now we just are left with v. Now 85 divided by 5. Well, we can just go like this. So 5 can go into 8 how many times? Well, it can only go into 1 time. So then we're left with, we have to carry the 3, right? Essentially, I'm doing long division here. 5 can go into 8 1 time. we get 3. Then we go ahead and bring down that 5. Now 5 can go into 35 17 times. Then, or 7 times. So then total v is equal to 17. So we get v is equal to 17. But our question was what the angle was for angle 1, not for what v is. So let's go back. So if we have angle, right, angle 1, which is equal to 2v plus 56, and v is equal to 17, we go 2, substitute in the 17 where v is, and go ahead. So we go 2 times 17, so that's 34 plus 56. Now, 34 plus 56 is actually equal to 90, because the 4 added to 56 is equal to 60 then, and then we just add the 30, so 60 plus 30 is 90. So that's how we got there mentally in our heads, or at least that's how I did it. Feel free to just go ahead and do it by hand, get the calculator out. But angle 1 is equal to 90 degrees, so that's a right angle. And then whatever angle 1 is, angle 2 would also be the same value, which would also be 90. But it asked for what angle 1 was, so that's 90 degrees. But so is angle 2.